Hello everyone, welcome to Insights I Can Initiative. We wish you a very happy 2025. May all your hard work get streamlined towards success and may you find the destination you are looking for in this year. So, we'll just begin the topic of the new year today with an economy concept that is beyond BULA and the crackdown. So, as you know, the parliament sessions were going on, and the government has proposed to pass a bill called banning of unregulated lending activities. So, this is in the backdrop of increasing household debt and harassment of borrowers from unlawful lenders. So, it is about loans and funding that comes mainly from informal sector of the economy. So, what are the measures proposed in the bill? We can discuss. That is, this bill tells that if a person is found in by lending, performing a lending activity in an unauthorized way and in an harassing manner, they would suffer an imprisonment of 5 to 10 years in prison, with a penalty ranging from 5 lakh to rupees 50 crore. This would be the penalty put, and there would be it would be a non bailable offense. At the same time, they can also have CBI investigations and inquiries. So the bill called BULA in short form, that is banning of unregulated lending activities, these are the performance or measures it wants to take to curb this kind of unregulated lending activities. So, why are these lenders booming? When you take this as a question, the first one is rising inflation levels in the country. Most of the goods and services around us have spiked in the prices, and because of the price rise, people are forced to borrow money. The second concept is very apt, talking about aggressive consumerism. So people are in a race to buy many products on EMI and other options because of the consumerism or increased means used of consumerism used by the companies. The third logic that we can apply here is the long and compulsive procedures used by credit rating agencies to give the loaning ability to a person, or determining the borrowing identities of an individual is created by this credit rating agencies. At the same time, we can tell that with respect to the lending agencies in an unregulated way we are talking about, they are easily available in the various platforms. So as a result, we see that many people are falling victim to it. So what else is the reason, as in why such kind of law is needed? Because most of the lenders, or sorry, most of the borrowers are either from small towns or villages. So what percentage do they form? They form more than 50 percentage of our population. They are becoming victims to these kind of loaning activities. Second is, this has increased or spiked especially after COVID pandemic due to multiple reasons. And the third idea is, these kind of loaning apps, they charge exorbitantly high interest rate ranging between 35 to 60%. Plus, in addition to this, we have various fees and hidden charges that are charged by the people in this platform. And if you see, many a time in a race to give back the loan, people lose their homes, they have mortgaged, they lose the hard earned gold, they also lose other important assets, and many a times people have lost their life as well. The fifth point the author talks about is the threat of data misuse. That is, once, especially if this lending happens through any applications or any loan apps, the personal data of the borrower is collected, and they are forcefully recovering the loans using the personal data that the people are sharing in the app. So, because of all these things, we are seeing that there is a huge number talking that is happening. That is, according to a digital volunteer, just in the Apple store, there are 1507 fraudulent loan apps that are existing, and somewhere around 5700 apps exist on the Google store. But on a positive note, Google has responded by telling that they have revised their norms for financial service apps. They are providing platforms in the Google Store only for those apps that have RBI license, or those apps which are lending using licensed partners. So this is a positive factor that has appeared in India. So there is also a surge in digital lending altogether. We can see that 49% surge is there in 2023 to 24, and this statistics would be very relevant to you in GS paper 3, inclusive development or inclusive growth, especially when we talk about financial inclusion. Using of this numbers would be very relevant in your answers. So there is a 49% surge in digital lending apps in the year 2023 and 2024. What is the amount that is worth? 1.46 lakh crore is the amount. Absolute number of money given as loan. How many borrowers can we expect? 10 crore people have borrowed money in this platform, and as a result, household debts, which was $65 trillion in 2019, has now gone to $127 trillion in mid, let's say 2023. So the statistics tell a lot about how this lending apps and other platforms needs regulation. But there is some amount of optimism. Instead of looking this as a threat, the author tells that it is giving us a good opportunity. So the first opportunity is about fintech companies. The market of fintech company in India by 2026 is expected to grow by 8.35 lakh crore rupees. So it's a huge potential for us to, if we regulate well, it can help banks to lend money at lower rates by doing away with the brick and mortar entities. So this in itself could lead to financial inclusion, we can say. The second is potential surveys need to be done. So which kind of surveys? A scientific, the regulated banks in a scientific way can conduct a survey, as in how to reach out to the borrowers in a scientific manner, so that they can give loans in a formal manner to many. The third one they talk about is enhance credit utilization capacity. So, credit utilization capacity is talking about the importance of repayment ethics of the people and developing savings habit among the public, so that they are not coming towards the idea of loan at all. So, the fourth one is talking about becoming digitally savvy. Whom are we talking about here? Not the customers, but the formal setups. That is, the author tells that there are 1,60,500 scheduled commercial banks in the country. There are 9,300 non-banking finance companies, and there are more than 1 lakh primary agriculture credit societies. So all this, when they become tech savvy, it becomes exclusively easy to reach the borrowing customers in the fag end of the countries. So we are not only stopping them from getting exploited, we also bring them under the net of safe financial transactions. So the conclusion was very interesting when the author told that a 15 square feet classic palm leaf painting of Odisha. Okay, what is a painting having to do with financial inclusion? At the same time, a generic, let's say a very authentic Kashmiri shawl, both of them are artifacts. The author has told that in Swadeshi Handicraft Mall of Hyderabad, both these artifacts are costing 15 lakh each. So, what is the meaning of this? There are hundreds of unexplored economic activities in the country that can be explored. So, creating credit absorption, that is, capacity of the public to take credit and utilize it properly in semi-urban and rural areas, help us to try to conserve the fertile agricultural land. It will help us to rejuvenate water bodies, crop diversities. It can protect traditional skills like this. At the same time, it can boost the forest diversity as well. So this way of finding or linking financial inclusion with sustainable development was the crux of this article. The second article is kind of contemporary, we must say, and even without our knowledge, most of us are also victims of the concept that we are going to discuss now. So this is about a newly released documentary in Netflix, kind of a month old, and it talks about the shopping conspiracy. Okay, what is the shopping conspiracy we are going to discuss now is how we are going and getting trapped into the idea of buying and buying and buying goods, especially when such a buying has been made easier by multiple online platforms that are available. And we may feel that what's a big deal in buying a good online? At the end of the day, what happens to these goods that are generated in large scale, and what is the end life of the product? When the end life of a product comes, what happens to it? This is very well documented in this documentary. So as we had promised in the initial days of the class that we would cover many of the topics that come in social media and digital platforms, so this documentary would be a part of that idea. So this article starts with the statistics. And what is that? We know that recently countries concluded a meeting in Busan, South Korea, related to plastic waste management. In that, they had told that 460 million tons of plastic is generated every year. Okay, remember this number, as plastic is doing a lot of rounds in the news. We can expect definitely a mains question with respect to solid waste management, specifically plastic. So, this documentary called Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy is directed by Nick Stacy, and it is talking about the consequences of out of control consumerism. So, if you recall, in the second video itself in ICANN, we had made a topic on consumerism. That is how we get trapped with the idea that sale is there is a discount that is available, buy one, what is it called? BOGO, buy one, get one free. So, there was an article related to this we had discussed. So, this could be a continuation of that. So, how this whole documentary is very interesting is that it is having a voice given by a tool called Sasha. So her voice itself is a kind of, spine chilling, monotone, or a single monotonous voice who explains how to increase consumerism and how to make sure that a person will definitely buy a product once they click on your link. So it is guide to increasing consumerism. So in a satirical manner. So according to this statistics, it is told that this would be a very important information that can go into your answers. In the world, 2.5 million shoes are manufactured every hour. Okay, this is the shoes we are talking about. There are around 68,733 phones are manufactured every hour, and more surprisingly, 1,90,000 garments are manufactured not in an hour, in a minute. So this itself shows how much of consumerism or how much of people are spending on these products. So as this document, we would have heard of these words earlier also. This is just numbers, but in the documentary they have given visuals, and the products are just how the image is given is that, like how a tsunami wave hits the coast, in the same way plastic waste is shown to be hitting the living population, and the world is being buried under the plastic debris. So as it is in a visual format, there is a lot of, it comes with an idea that it looks quite disturbing to watch the visuals. So this the information that is given in this documentary, will try to quickly pick it up based on the article that had come up in Down to Earth, and see how they can be used in our answers. So what are the strategies used by these companies? So this documentary has representatives who have worked in companies like Apple, Amazon, Unilever. So these are some big brands of the world in which people have worked, and once they have quit their jobs, they are revealing many information on how these companies have worked. So the first idea or strategy used is feeling guilty. That is, many a time when we do this online shopping, we feel that we have shopped too much, but what is the crux of the strategizers here? They tell that do not give shoppers the time to feel guilty. That is, if you see, there'll be constant blinking of images that sale is there, 100% off, or in bold letters some kind of messages would be written. So they will be compelled to buy a product and you don't even have time to feel guilty before pressing the buy now button. So that is one option. Second idea is they are complete or constantly into research and development. Researching what? How to optimize the user experience. That is, which product to place in which part of the page, which image to use, what subtitles to use, how the web page should be customized. They're constantly in a research and development mode so that the best user experience is given and the chances of buying a product becomes extremely high. So the third idea they have used is, this term is very useful, planned obsolescence. That is, products are designed and manufactured in such a way that they don't last long. That is, they get spoiled very soon. As a result, people will have to buy a new product. So one statistics tells that 30 million phones are thrown each day because they become unusable. This number itself is telling what to do with this 30 million phones that are going waste. What about the waste management of this 13 million products? The fourth idea is labels do lie. That is, if you are conscious and think that I am buying only those products that are recyclable, and this documentary tells that it is a false perception because a very minuscule or small percentage of product is recycled. Remaining, they just end up buried or burnt in the yards. So the fifth strategy that is very popularly used is treatment of waste. So treatment of waste in the sense, it is very easy for the companies to dump a product rather than spending money on, let's say, recycling it scientifically or trying to treat them and then discard. This is very expensive, so the easy is to dump them. So some investigators of waste, what they had done, they had installed a tracker or a chip in a digital waste, or let's say something that is called as an electronic waste. They were surprised to know that this electronic waste originated from Germany. When they tracked this, the waste had traveled from oceans to market to other areas and ended up in Thailand, only there to be broken into pieces. So in Thailand, are the workers having the protective gear to handle this harmful or harsh, we can say, electronic waste? Now that's the question we need to ponder. So the sixth strategy that can be used, and it is in the our documentary, is refuse to repair. So earlier there were whole lot of shops, especially the watch and the clock shops, where people would repair your gadgets and give, and we could reuse it from like generations together. All of us would have one or the other electronic artifact in our home that has like come down from our grandparents to this time. But nowadays the products do not have a long market while standing because they are created in such a manner that the parts, the batteries, and other idea components that go into its making cannot be replaced. So when it is not repairable and replaceable, the only option you have when the product goes unusable is to replace it with an original whole product. So this refusal to repair is again adding up to consumerism, or let's say pushing us in the loop to purchase more product, and at the end of the day all this is nothing but goes into refuse and becomes a waste of the world. So this is the documentary. If you do find time, watch it. It gives you new perspective on solid waste management. So how do we use this in our answers now? So this is mainly relevant for essay, ethics, and ecology environment paper. You can use it based on the direction of the question. So the first application I would like to mention is about the illusion of freedom. So we all know the countries today have come long way from the colonial world. Most of them are independent today, and we feel that we are free to do things, make our choices and opinions. But there is a perception that we believe that our choices are independent. But if you see, at the end of the day, our preferences are shaped by advertising agencies and the societal pressures. Most of our decisions are either by getting attracted to an advertisement, especially for buying, and the society's perceptions. So we come to a conclusion that are our desires manufactured? So, whatever we want, is it manufactured by others or is it our own idea? This is a big question. So, if you recall, in one of our ICANN episodes, we had spoken about Jean Baudrillard's concept of matrix. The whole discussion was based on the movie Matrix, how we feel that things are real and we are free, but at the end of the day we are being controlled by many forces and we are just puppets in their hands. So, this idea would be very relevant in our essay topics. The second application would be Immanuel Kant. We had this discussion in just 2 3 classes ago. He tells that humans need to be treated as an end in themselves, but not means to achieve an end. But here, how is it really relevant to the morality of manipulating consumers? So, will this really be consumers are nothing but being used as a means to make profit and fulfill the end results of the companies here? So, the other concept would be relevant for ethics essay and especially for sociology optional, as it is the idea of Karl Marx. So, Karl Marx has told about a theory of alienation where, in a capitalistic system, the workers will be so consumed in the production process that they are not knowing what they actually are. They have an existence beyond their work life, is something the workers would have forgotten. In the same way, this consumerism or online shopping alienates individuals from their true self. Probably we didn't need a product, but the whole process traps you into the buying process by equating human identity with possessions. That is, you can be rich or you can be called as a member of the society when you own this product or buy this product. This kind of idea has been created in the present world by the social media, or we can tell basically the online e-commerce platforms. The idea of stoicism also becomes relevant here, which is part of our syllabus. So stoicism tells that the value of living in harmony with nature is very crucial for human being. So humans and nature are part of an integrated whole, and if we are having this realization, humans will always be gentle towards the nature and their own behavior. But here, in pursuing what we want, we have forgotten what the planet needs, as in we have created so much of uh, waste in the whole process. So this comes brings us to reminder of a very good quote that if you own more, the more it owns you. That is, the products or the merchandise or the materialistic products, they will own you rather than you owning it. So this is a very good way of starting your new year with a good thought provoking concept. So this was an article that was there in today's newspaper. It is about the purpose of one's life or how to feel satisfied in your daily life. So if you recall, in the very beginning days of ethics being introduced, we had got a question on happiness is the ultimate goal of a human being. Do you agree with the statement? If yes, what makes you happy? So in such kind of questions, you need to dig a lot deeper into the idea of what exactly is the purpose of life. And it's not the materialistic things as we discussed in the previous topic. It is a lot to do with one's own life experiences. So this article starts with the question, with a quote that is, life without purpose is like a body without soul. So if that's the question, what is the purpose of your life? So when we get topics like this, the author tells that there are three sets of people basically. That is, there is one category of people who extract more and more out of life. So it is more and more out of life. What does it mean? It is about living at the cost of others. That is, being selfish and making sure that I have to survive, my family needs to be in comfort. We don't give too much of attention on whether the resources are available for others or what is the position of others. So this is one way of one purpose of the people. The second is those segment of people who are talking about living and letting live. Live and let live. That is, I should survive, but not at the cost of others. I should be happy, others also should be happy. So this is a good initiative or good kind of purpose that person has in one's life. The third one is about a very rare category of individuals who live for others. So it is these kind of people who actually are someone whose life is fulfilled, we must say. So there is a new idea that the author talks here is living for others. This is the concept we'll discuss now. So what is the reality of us today? As in the sense, most of us in a common life. That is, every day our daily life relations are filled with give and take basis. So take any relationship, any kind of agreements we have with people, it's based on you give me this, I'll give you that. So this idea of giving and taking has made a very monotonous way of lifestyle for people, where every relationship comes with ton loads of expectations, and the disappointment with coming with the expectations, leading to unfulfilled lives. So, what is the idea that the author is discussing here is the concept of giving principle. That is, it is in conformity with the universe, is what the person is telling. That is, universe always talks about giving to others. So, everything is in this concept. Let's say sun, it gives light and heat. Let's say flowers, it gives us fragrance. Nature, it fulfills every desires of the human being by providing very good environmental services. At the same time, the author tells that no entity in the world is having the self utility. That is, nothing in this world exists for itself. So you can think and get so many examples for this. Let's say fruits on the trees. Does the tree eat the fruit? Not anytime. There is so much of water in the river, but does the river drink the water? The answer again is no. The meaning of these two examples is that nothing has a utility by itself. It has a value only when it is serving others. So, we human beings, as humans, what is the advantage we have? We are the best creation of nature, the most intelligent creation of the nature. So when we are happy and joyous, we are not only doing it for ourselves but also spreading it to others. So the more we give, the more wise the human turns into. But you may be asking, what will be the motivation for a person to only give to others when you don't have any expectation that what the other person should give it to me in return? The normal or the mortals or humans will not have any motivation to give as a concept. So the possibility to live and work without motivation, and when we know that, will this work or will this idea worth the sacrifice of giving I'm making? The answer is very difficult to ponder. So, what's the solution for this? The solution again is in a quote that a good action should be performed just because it is a good action. So, giving doesn't diminish our value, it emphasizes or it enhances the value. That is, many texts from our religion tells that giving without expectation or performing one's job of sharing with others without expectation is the purpose of ritual or spiritual quest. So, what is the result if we give people without any expectation? If we share with them, if we are living for others, what is the result? The first result is nothing but the ripple effect. So, ripple effect is if we spread positivity, it acts as a whole circle and comes back to us. So, for that purpose, creating happiness is very much important, or thinking about others' well being comes back to us manifold. So, if every person performs this act of kindness or or will be act generously to the people, it transforms the collective experience people will have on earth. That is, the experience of joy, the experience of meaningfulness will be more. So, now what should be the purpose of life? So, this could be an apt discussion on the day one of 2025. So, try to redefine and do some self introspection for your self growth, as well as that aspect would be very relevant for your upcoming personality test as well. So what should be the purpose of life? The first one is about betterment of our souls. So making a good deal out of our soul becomes important. So what will we do when the soul reaches its original and pure state? The action we perform, it will reflect the most virtuous part of our attitude. So it will be covered under virtues and vices of GS paper 4. So we elevate not only ourselves but the people and the situation around us. When we take decisions in pure state of mind, it's not only about we becoming happy, we'll make the people around us happy, and also the consequences would be happier, and even the situations. So the purer the soul, greater the happiness. Then the purpose, to be happy and spread happiness, is something we can determine. That is, it's not that we should, the whole story should be about the journey being happy and spreading happiness. So as a part of the aspirant life as well, this journey is something you can enjoy and spread enjoyment to others in the process of learning. So if we align ourselves with the universe natural rhythm, this would be very easier. So define, we can talk about defining this kind of lifestyle, or defining and living with a purpose is to create, serve, or simply share kindness, because true fulfillment lies in what we take, lies not in what we take but in what we give to others. So when we are at the beginning of a new year, this introspection will definitely give you a lot of positivity, and all the burdens and baggage that we carried in 2024 can rightly be shed when you just try to interrogate with the idea that giving gives you lot of happiness, and that is where our soul will be in its purest form. So there is a PYQ also, or a practice question with respect to this. That is, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So if you get this in GS paper 4, what does this quote mean to you? You can easily write an answer for 10 marks based on the analysis that we have done now, linking this idea of giving with the natural rhythm or the universal rhythm. So this article, A Culture of Hope and Promise, uh, it had come in this Sunday, last Sunday's magazine. Okay, that is the magazine we get in the Hindu newspaper. It had the small content, A Culture of Hope and Promise. So this has a lot to do with India, because day in and day out in our lives, in our own languages, we often hear the term sanskar. Sanskari son, sanskari daughter, sanskari daughter-in-law. This would be a kind of apt the idea that your behaviors will be judged based on the sanskar a person is carrying. So, what exactly is sanskar now? It is the values or impressions one has received from one's ancestors, including parents. So, we are usually judged by the parenting we have been done, and also by the way every single gesture in our life matters. So, this article had more of what would be the society's expectation from a person and all those stuff. But I have picked up two interesting stories from this article, which can be used in your GS mains ethics paper, especially as in what exactly it means to be a leader, right? So the story is, the first one is about Gukesh, the person who became the youngest chess champion in the world. There was a small thing that a reporter observed, that when the chess tournament was over and it was known that Gukesh has won the match, he could have just celebrated, and the world was him, the victory was his. So what happened is, once the match was just over, instead of quitting the area and celebrating the success, you could see that Gukesh was, very carefully organizing the pawns on the chessboard, and he was keeping his chair in a proper position before leaving the area to celebrate his victory. So this could be a small story and an incident which many wouldn't have observed, but this shows the responsibility the person has and the respect he has towards the game, and how he gives a lot of value to the people who set things right for him before anybody comes and plays the match. So this is a small gesture shown by Gukesh, but it has a lot of value, telling that how he has done this particular gesture and what it means to the people who are around him. So, as a leader, anybody who would be following this person, or any chess champion, or anybody who would aspire to be Gukesh, they would not just follow his chess moves, they would also see this humble gesture the person has shown. So, this shows that leadership comes with humbleness, and leadership also comes with making small changes which matter a lot in our daily life. So this was one of the story I had picked up from this article. The second also is from a sports fraternity, that is, in the recent Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics. There was a high jump competition, and in this, Italy was playing against Qatar for gold medal. So both of them in the competition, it so happened that it was a draw match, that is, both were on the same level. And in this match, the Italian person got injured. So what does it mean? Though they had got a same ranking, they, when it is a draw, they get an option to replay the match and get a better score. But the Italian person, was already injured. So if they had decided, if the Qatari person had decided, told that I'm not okay with this, I want to replay the match, he would have easily won because the Italian opponent was already injured. But the Qatari player tells that I am okay with this, we can share the medal. As a result, the Olympic Committee decided to award gold medal to both Qatari and the Italian person. So this sanskar, or this kind of value that the Qatari person has shown here, it is nothing but people at times put aside their own interest and focus on helping their fellow humans. So, just as we discussed in the previous topic, this incident has made the Qatari player so high in ethical value that it will be remembered in the history of Olympics for a long time. So, this quote is nothing but, or this example is nothing but, it's telling that this behavior gives a lot of meaning and purpose and hope, that there is a lot of optimism and positivity in today's world. However bad the world might have turned today in the form of multiple wars, diseases, climate change, and all of this, small stories like this keep us motivated in the concept that humanity is still alive, and there is no need to be so hopeless about what could be in store for us in the future. So, with this, we'll end today's topic of discussion. And as we are in the crux of the new year, uh, I would like to suggest all of the viewers that every Sunday the Telegram channel of Insights gives you the essay topics. So you can write these essay for practice, and the best essay wins the award as well. So it's a very good opportunity for you to explore what all you can shape your essays in. So it will be the more you write, the more you learn, the more creative your answers can become. So these are free initiatives, and make the best use of it, because resources are equally available to everybody in this competitive world. The more you try to personalize your content and make it effective, you are definitely going to stand out of the crowd. So as 2025 begins, let us all make a promise that we'll chase our dream with even more grit and determination. And as the word of the year 2024, manifestation, tells, it is definitely possible. You just have to streamline your preparation, be consistent in your activities, and be very hopeful and optimistic that you are going to make it. So, with this, let's end today's discussion. Meet you again in the week with more such interesting topics. Happy New Year, aspirants. Let us make this year count. Thank you.